pulls water. It's really just for collecting water.
That's the sound of lab work at the Center for Genomics and Systems Biology at New York University. And Aidan Wells, a first-year PhD student studying RNA biology, showing off the equipment.
Mixer for mixing. We mix tubes like this.
Aidan, who I should point out is my older brother, says work here seems normal, but it isn't.
Here's another centrifuge, just smaller.
Recently, the Trump administration sent ripples through the scientific community, with cuts to the NIH, layoffs at the National Science Foundation, and much more, has left many scientists uncertain about their future.
I'm Henry. I'm a first-year PhD student.
Henry Molkheimer is another first-year student working in the center. Henry and Aidan think their entry into graduate school feels particularly surreal, as the final cohort admitted before Trump's sweeping cuts.
Without funding for administrators or sequencing resources or computing resources, it'd be difficult to accomplish the same amount.
Especially concerning that this might affect underrepresented communities.
They are also concerned that political ideology will play more of a role in what research gets supported.
There's an effort to remove any inclusive language from any type of scientific publication, particularly grant and fellowship applications, leading to self-censorship and lower quality research.
We're sort of entering into a time where the objectivity of science becomes compromised. People often don't see the bigger picture of how much the world has been changed by science and by people researching things that are not immediately applicable to something like treating human disease.
Henry and Aidan work in the same lab as Duncan Smith, an associate professor in biology who runs a small lab almost entirely funded through the NIH. He studies DNA, looking at the effects on yeast so that we may better understand humans.
If it happens in yeast, it pretty much happens in humans, which is...
Dr. Smith is worried about the people who work in his lab. As part of the NIH cuts, the support cap was dropped from 70 to just 15%. He says that their budget is just enough to last, at most, another 3 months.
We don't get any more money at that point. I will be unable to meet salary obligations for the people in my lab.
He fears these cuts and closures could negatively affect future opportunities for PhD students.
If there's a critical mass of labs that close, then it's hard to imagine where the PhD students go.
For now, Dr. Smith thinks the cone of uncertainty is so large that it's hard to give meaningful advice. Normally, he tells PhD hopefuls to keep their options open, but now he's not even sure what those options look like. He says if he were still in that stage of his career, he would be angry. From the Center for Genomics and Systems Biology, this has been Chase Wells for New York University.